what I mean when I don't go to work. Hey, what's happening, buddy? You up? Can you hear me? All right. Good morning, everybody. Right now, I see Patrick's on here with me. Very exciting. Um, Today is the 25th of January. It's about 8:45 and getting started a little bit later than I would have liked. So sorry about that. Today is Wednesday. Every Wednesday, with the exception of holiday weeks, every Wednesday is the crude oil inventory report, and that comes out at 10:30 a.m. Generally speaking, the market's choppy before that. We have seen some exceptions to that, but that is the general rule of thumb. So um, even before we get started on the homework, we know that when we do look at our hypotheses, we're going to expect somewhat choppy trading this morning. But we're still going to look to see if we can't get an idea of where that trading might happen or where it might lead to. So let's take a look real quick. Sorry for being real quick, but like I said, I'm starting later than I would like. So let's take a look at what happened in yesterday's trading. Not going to look so much at trade itself, just to kind of see what went down. Very balanced day. You can see the profile. We do have a little bit of it's really almost like a triple distribution. You know, where you see some volume built up here, some volume here to this low volume node, and then some volume down to the end, almost like a triple distribution. Um, and we ended up closing right at yesterday's VPOC, skewed downwards a little bit. No surprise that from what we can see on the screen right now, no surprise that the overnight initially started heading down and actually stayed that way. So no big surprise there. You could see that it came through this congestion of area of swings here, previous swing points, and that acted as resistance as it broke below it, just as it acted as support as it broke above it yesterday. So for the time that we were trading, we were kind of stuck in it, which again is one of the expectations we had, was to chop around in here. Didn't really have a good trade setup while we were watching. Probably first real decent one came right as I was leaving. But anyhow, and really even here there wasn't much room for a profit target. You know, kind of going long right in the middle. You'd be going long right in the middle of the congestion. So it would really just be a kind of a 50-50 trade. Um, so I'm not. I don't. Unfortunately, I don't have time right now to go through the way yesterday played out. I did take a look at it real quick last night, and I did see a couple of trade opportunities that would have presented themselves. But really not many at all. So would have needed to be very patient if you were watching this yesterday. To catch any of these trade opportunities. You're looking at one right here, a huge night out here. So I'll even show you. So you begin to get negative divergence from this high to this high. Okay, you can see these price points are flat, but the BBs are heading downwards. So you have negative divergence. You get even more so when you get up here, and this would be a really good scaling opportunity where you're starting to enter right below what at the time would be the high a day, and you're scaling up all the way to here, and using this as your stop. So your stop would be above here. So this was a really nice trade setup. And the other one I thought I saw, let me just find it real quick. Like I said, there weren't many. Was right here. So when we finally break away from this area of congestion, we move away, we start coming back, and all these levels are bunched in here. The IB high, the overnight high, the middle of the day. You're still away from the VWAP, and you have the opening range high. So this would have been another good opportunity to start scaling, starting right around the IB high and willing to scale all the way down to the VWAP as it moves up in your direction. If you're in this trade, then your opportunity to scale would probably go away. It actually still would have been here for a decent amount of time. That's really the only other real obvious trade setup that I saw. I didn't see. Oh, here we go. No, here's the other one. Actually, you know what? This is the one I saw. The one I just showed you now. I didn't notice until right now. Here we push away. We move away from this congestion, and now we come back, and now we have again regular open. The middle of the day is in there as well, covered up, and VWAP. So all these areas for potential getting into a trade, and you would have been using this as your stop. Pretty much see this last swing low here. Pretty much this middle line would be your stop. That's 53.08, 53.05. So you'd be trying to scale in from 53.17 down to about 53.07. And your stop would have been below, about here, 53.02. So this was another decent setup. All right, sorry that I couldn't help myself. Truth is, I want to see it as much as anyone else does. So here's the close from yesterday, and we're looking at that to determine inventory net long or net short. So there's the close, and we are absolutely inventory is net short. We traded below that for the almost. I mean, we're pretty much 100% net short here. So again, that's going to give us cause to believe that we're going to have a correction of that. There's not much of a correction to be had. We haven't traded too far overnight, but that's the first thing we want to keep in our minds is, are we net long or net short in inventory? So right now we are net short. So let's bring in this chart here, and so we have a couple of swing points. We're going to get rid of this one. This one we traded above as if it didn't exist, traded below as if it didn't exist. So that one's gone. No longer need that. We are still going to respect the ones we have here. Let's put a swing high off of yesterday's high. Okay. And we're going to put a swing low off yesterday's swing low. So we're starting again. There's going to be another area, another level that's going to add to this congestion, and we will ultimately clean that congestion up. That this can only stay important for so long before we get out of this area. But you could, if you look back, and the reason why this is so congested, just look how we traded in this price area here, here, and although it was not the entire day, here, I mean, look at all the trade that's taken place in this area. So that's of the entire area of this microcomposite, and it shows in the microcomposite because that's where you have your VPOC and all the other congestion and all the other high volume nodes that are in there. But that's why we're seeing so many swings in here, so many levels show up in here, because we've been sitting in this area for so long. So let's stretch this microcomposite to include yesterday. Let me just see what time it is. 8:53. Okay. So let's stretch it out to include yesterday. The VPOC of the microcomposite has remained the same. We also have VPOC from a few days ago in this area, so we'll definitely be paying attention here. We also have this VPOC up here, the 53.43. So I'm going to actually draw that one out. I'm going to extend that one out. So remember, this is not a naked VPOC. It was naked, meaning at the end of this day, when this VPOC was determined, these red dots show that price had not been touched until we got back here. The only reason I'm putting it on here, the truth is, it really should have been on there yesterday too. The only reason I'm putting it on here is just to give us one more potential level to pay attention to. Again, I think I was telling you guys yesterday, for me, a lot of times I use these levels as a way to stay patient, to not get too aggressive. So this level might be a little bit of overkill, but it's going on. All right, so let's take a look now. 52.88 is where we're trading right now. So we're trading below. We're trading below yesterday's low. So we are starting with a gap down. And we are trading inside the range of 2 days ago. All right, so this is Monday. We're trading inside the range of Monday right now. So what we're going to look for, 52.88. Okay. So first expectation. Let's take a look at this before we just start rambling. First expectation. Oh, whoa. That might be a little big. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to look for chop at the open. Maybe a push up. Try to test high of Monday. Potentially try to push into the range from yesterday. So we'll see if we fail here. Make our way back down. Chop. Come and test this, what is now currently a naked VPOC. And if we get in, and that's what we would look for if we get into Monday. If we stay in Monday's range, we would expect to test VPOC and then maybe bounce around. And then ultimately, if we're heading down, we would be looking for this value area low as the next potential target. So this is going to be 1. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is going to be chop up towards yesterday's low, fail at yesterday's low, and just kind of chop around, in this area for our time frame. I see that as a very possible opening. I hope not, but it's definitely a possibility. So that's going to be 2. 3 is going to be test into yesterday's low. Yesterday's low holds. Congestion again amongst this area. And if this area holds, we're testing yesterday's VPOC. And then ultimately the microcomposite VPOC. We're going to call this number 3. That's pretty much for this morning. I mean, those are the things I'm watching. When you look at this homework, all I'm really doing is, so sorry, before I get into that. So because we have a gap down, it's not a huge gap down. The expectation is that gap will be filled. Might not necessarily be filled quickly, but remember, we're net short inventory, which means we're expecting a correction to the upside. We have a gap lower. So once again, since it's not a huge gap, my expectation is that it will be filled. So that's why you saw one of our hypotheses is a push back up through yesterday's low into this congestion area. That's where that's coming from. That's the context. Overnight inventory is short, looking for a correction. Gap lower, not by a ton. So we're looking for that to be filled. And then what ends up happening is all this homework is doing is I'm showing you levels that we're going to potentially be getting to and what we want to see when we get to those levels, right? So if we open, we push towards yesterday's low. If this holds, we're expecting a nice move down, and we're expecting that move down to ultimately test the other side of the levels from where we're starting. So this value area actually could potentially be a stopping point. But again, so look here. So we're starting inside the range of Monday, okay? If we open, we push up, we stop at this swing low, we stop at the low from yesterday, which is still within the range of Monday, and now we push down. We would expect to get through this value area high, but potentially being a point where we hesitate, into the VPOC, from Monday. And if we can get on the other side of that, then we're expecting to test the other side of value. Okay. So on the flip side, not that I just want to repeat the homework, but I want to show you where this is coming from and why why it's so easy for you guys to potentially start doing this for yourselves too, or with me. So if we open and we head up, now we're testing into the range of yesterday. And if we get in that range and it holds, now what you're expecting is a test of yesterday's VPOC. And if that holds, you're expecting a test to the upper end of value. I should also draw this line straighter. So that's what it is that we're drawing there. Okay, it's not there's no magic to this. Generally speaking, with volume profile, you're looking to go from VPOC to VPOC to VPOC and with stops at high volume nodes, low volume nodes, previous swings, things like that. That's basically what it is we're looking for. And I really got to draw these effing things straight. I don't know what the hell I was doing there. Hey. Okay. Is this really still? Okay. All right, we've opened. So I'm looking to see if we can't get along off of an initial move down here. And again, the whole concept there is expecting choppiness, overnight inventory short, small gap down. I would have liked that push to come a little more. I mean, it's close. That's real close. And let's see. So here's not sure why that's not working. Okay. So putting two to get out at 10 ticks because the next area up from here is yesterday's low, which is right here in this swing. I'd probably be at 97 there. So we'd be adding about 4 ticks to the profit target. I'm going to keep my last one on if we get there. I'm also going to watch to see if this really doesn't start panning out, because I want this move to happen somewhat quickly. I really want it to be a push away. I want, exactly like what I was saying before. I want it to be a move down to just kind of an impulsive move down. It's a very small move, so I can't really call it impulsive, but with an effort to close this gap. Remember, this is one of those opening trades that I'm trying to add to the repertoire. We've made one so far. It didn't go in our favor. This is another one. All valid. The reasoning, as far as I understand it right now, is valid. As we make more and more of these and we kind of see how they go, we'll refine the techniques. But we're using this VPOC as our support level. Probably could have scaled into this one. We could have treated this as a scale, seeing if we make another push down and then move up, and that push down being down to here. But this is kind of what I was looking for at the morning. Could I have been in a tick better? Yeah, probably. I probably could have reacted a little quicker, but I mean, that's nominal. Now if this trade doesn't work, it's not going to be because I reacted a tick too late. If this trade doesn't work, it's just because it's not looking to start closing that gap or balancing the overnight inventory. And in the meantime, we are still going to be watching for the types of stuff we normally watch. I don't want the fact that I'm in a trade to skew my opinion. So, for example, we have a swing right up here, right? If we start seeing negative divergence across the board on those BBs, and we do have some in the 610, we're rolling over on the 987. We don't yet have any in the 1597. If we start seeing those all start showing us negative divergence, there's a very good chance we'll just move this whole thing down or close out of our trade down, whatever we would be down at the point that we say, okay, what, this is about it for us. So I don't want the fact that I'm in the trade to affect that I'm looking, what I'm normally watching. So let's see what happens. Let's take a look here. What's going on in the ES overnight? Very skewed to the upside. No real surprise if you take a look at yesterday's profile. Very heavy to the upside. Definitely. I can't really call this a P-shaped profile because of what happens up here. Like, this doesn't, a P-shaped profile, as I understand it, should have more of a gradual slope, not this sharp decline there in volume. But generally, these tend to lead to days of reversal. But overnight, you definitely momentum and trend was to the upside. So no surprise that continued overnight. So far, oil is not doing what we were expecting. That was another test of current low of day. And remember, regardless of how this trade works out, we really have to break them up. Meaning, there's these opening trades that, like I said, we're trying to add to the repertoire, and then there's the trades that we look at where we're looking for divergence, we're looking for levels, and so on and so forth. So definitely, as I make these trades, I'll do my best to kind of clarify them, and it's going to be fairly easy to tell if you guys have watched any of the videos and as I talk about it. Okay, so let's look at what's going on right now. So we've pushed past this VPOC. Now we're going to see if we can get into this. That VPOC was VPOC from Monday, right? So if we hold below here, then what we're looking for is a continued push down all the way down towards the 5245 area. What could also happen here is a little further down, a little further of a push here, and then we start setting up some setups to go long. But right now, what we're looking for is we need to see, and this has really not been much of a move yet. Just a small move off of the open. And what we might end up seeing, which again something we can take away in this idea of how can we refine these opening trades. What we might end up seeing is that this should have been scaled into. That really, since we have levels close enough, we should have been scaling. Our entry up was, I think, 83. Ultimately, we need to be above 67, so we would have scaled in 83, 75. 60 some odd, whatever that number would be, and then that puts our stop down here. So we might see that we need to, instead of try to take the full position when we have congested levels like this, scale into that position. But we'll watch what happens now. We'll watch what happens after the fact, and we'll learn from it. I actually like the idea of potentially of taking a short here. BBs are skewed down. 1597 would turn down if we do head down. We're testing the middle of the day, opening range mid. This VPOC still potentially, if we start trading below it, would become resistance. VWAP. So couple things here that make me want to consider going short. Again, in the context of things, still overnight inventory is short, so we are expecting some type of correction, and we still have this gap down that I was expecting to correct. Those did not happen yet, and I don't want to start over trading. I don't want to start kind of forcing myself into trades. But I'm going to try to do as much of that as I can every day. Is try to read the opening and see if we can't figure out how to fine tune that. That would be nice. There's always something that happens at the open. There's always some type of movement there. Okay, so there's that push down, testing this swing. No divergence on the BBs, definitely pointing down. Let's see what volume was like overnight. $132,000. It seems to be last few days. That number seems to be pretty consistent. Still BB's pointing down. Again, I talk about every day that not everybody's going to trade the same. And, some of you by now, with what you've seen, some of you certainly would have looked at this where I was saying that, we potentially have a good setup here, opening range low, VPOC potentially going to act as support, VWAP. Some of you might have looked at this and taken this as a trade, and that would have been absolutely fine. Even if it went against you, your reasoning there is absolutely fine. I don't know that you'd be out of it. If actually you'd be out of one contract at this point if you took it, because for me, I would look at 2 ticks below VWAP, so it would be 77 as your entry point. And so far we've gotten as low as 66. We have overnight low. Wait a minute. That's a previous overnight low. We don't need that. And actually, while I noticed that, let me. Yeah. I was looking to see if I had any previous overnight highs or lows plotted on the chart that needed to come off. Okay. Still testing low of day here. Still showing negative momentum on the BB. Still showing a trend down. Really, at this point, we need to be paying attention to overnight low here. Yes, we're down here. Throw it on the chart. Now, if we come back up towards here, we're definitely going to be looking to put a trade in. So I'm going to get an order out here already. And I'm going to turn this order into, if it lets me, I don't know if it lets me. Okay. I'm looking to take all three of them here. And the reason for that is I'm coming 2 ticks below all of these. Middle of the day, VWAP, 3 ticks below this VPOC. So there's no scale for me here. If we get above here, I want to be out of my trade. So this would be a full entry position if we turn back up. Now, what could potentially change our mind as to not want to get in this trade? If we come back up there, and in the way that happens, if we come back up there and that potentially starts creating a strong positive divergence in the BBs as we make our move back up there, that could potentially change our mind. So remember, as we get up there, you know, if price does make its way up here, you're going to see some type of change in the BB. So as long as they don't do this, you know, or this, you know, they can turn up a little bit, but we don't want them to turn up so much that it's going to look like that there's going to be really strong positive divergence if we then retest. And definitely missed this one here. That's really the only one. That's the only one that I see as we missed. I don't see anything. I didn't see anything to to warrant trying to get a short off the open. Even in hindsight, even looking at it in hindsight, I don't see anything to have helped with that. Now we're starting to get to a point where we're not really going to have the room to make this trade if we turn up at this point. Right now, low of day is 57. We'd be entering the trade at 69. That's not a ton of room down there. But I'll tell you what, you know, we get below there. Overnight low happens to also. Oh, hang on, sorry. I was about to say coincide with something, but it doesn't coincide with anything. There we go. Below here, like I said before, 52.45. Below 52.45, it's quite a while before we get to something. That matters. So we have some room beneath that. So that's something that I'm really going to be paying attention to. I just don't know if that's going to happen while I'm in front of the screen today. I will say for a pre-inventory report morning, this is not the most typical type of move. We did see one similar to this. Was it last week or the week before? We had pushed up pretty strongly and then just started balancing up there. Probably should. We're going to change this now. We're going to change this with the idea now that we are going to potentially scale them, because remember, we want to include this VPOC in our entries here. So VPOC is at 76. This is 68. So we're going to go 71, 74. But basically, at this point, you know, we've traded and held below this VPOC, which puts us on the bottom side of the VPOC of Monday. And the value area low from Monday, just to refresh your memory again, is about 52, 40, 44 to be exact. Beneath that area, the low from Monday, which would be the next thing we expect, is 52.21. And we have 52.18 on the composite Let me show you. So we're currently trading right here, okay, 52.62. If we can break through overnight low here, 52.56, the next area down is this 44, and beneath that we have a couple of old value area levels that we could look at, but really we're expecting this swing low here for Monday, and this high volume node, in the composite, which also happens to be, I think, value area low for this composite. So that's kind of what we're looking at and waiting on. Get this out of the way. And right now we're watching for one of two things. One would be a nice pullback, giving us an opportunity to get short. Two would be no pullback or very small pullback and divergence setting up in the BBs, giving us a reason to get long using overnight low as our support level. And if we did that, you know, I'm gonna draw this value area on this chart here. Give me 1 second. So it'll pop up. We really should have this. Okay. So we might even consider scaling. This value area is a dynamic one, meaning it was drawn automatically by this software. I'm not actually paying attention to this one. This is the one I'm paying attention to. I'm actually going to come a little below, 2 ticks below VWAP, and 1 tick below this swing. It's going to change where we scale as well. 66. Okay. This is more like Wednesday morning trading in crude oil. You know, this real slowdown here. I mean, we see it every day, but I did not expect that type of move. You know, pretty much a 36 tick move without pullback. Did not expect that on a Wednesday morning. You had a slight pullback here. And, you know, that's context that I did not take into account. You know, overnight we had hit this high. Here, let me stretch this out. That's something that I should have looked at as well. That we have this high, low, lower high, lower low. Now here is a higher high than here, but if you look at it as a larger time frame, then this becomes the high, this becomes the low, this becomes the lower high. Could have looked at that as the idea of a potential continued push down, but I still off of what I looked at this morning, inventory being net short, the gap, I still you know, would have expected it to react differently. So, but again, we're going to start really paying attention to what happens at the open, and we're going to see if we can figure out what the variables are that tend to be the most important, and see if we can't start catching some trades at the open. Okay, we're into our one contract. We have a little roll up on the 610, not much yet on the 987, nothing yet on the 1597. It's flattening out on the 1597. No, wait a minute. Hey, go away. Get back down there. Really? That was interesting. Okay. So just kind of waiting to see what comes of this. And truth be told, I don't mind getting scaled in here. I don't mind if the pullback goes a little bit further. It gives me a chance to get into um, another contract that really doesn't worry me yet. Yet that again, that can change. So right now, if we stay in one contract, I'm not going to be looking to take my 10-tick profit target. I'm going to put my profit target down here above this value area low. I will be moving my stop if we head downwards, and I have yet to get into a second contract. As we go further down, I will be moving my stop to protect the position, but I'm not putting my first profit target at 10 ticks here. If we get into a second contract, I will put one profit target at 10 ticks. Now, keep in mind, now again, I'm going to be out of here at 10, but or maybe even a little earlier. But if you're trading, probably a good 5 minutes, definitely 2 minutes before that news, before the inventory report at 10:30, you want to be out of all your trades. It's the reaction to that number is so random, and it's random because whatever reaction happens gets corrected. So I don't know how that reaction happens so quickly. I don't know who's putting in those orders so immediately, or I'm guessing it's algorithmic. Based on whatever number is reported, there's some type of algorithm that decides how much is going to get bought or sold, but whatever happens first always gets corrected usually gets corrected to some extent. So it really is completely random. Okay, so while that's going on, I'm just gonna take a quick minute. Multitask here. Then at this point, because I have my order pending as a potential scale, and I have my profit target down there, there's really not much for me to do right now. So I am paying attention, of course, to the BBs. We are seeing that slight roll up there. Not crazy about that, but also certainly not enough to convince me to close this position. The one thing that is kind of worrying me with those BBs, let me show you. If you remember yesterday, I talked about a pattern that Patrick showed me. It's called a foot. It kind of looks like this, and then it goes up. I can kind of see that starting to form here. Down, up, will it do this, and then push. If it, so that looks like that. This is the beginning of that. Certainly, that could form. The other way this can go is could be what's called a bull flag. A bull flag is when you have price moving downwards, then you get a pushback up, and then price continues down. That's a bull flag. So it could go one of those two ways, which obviously doesn't really help us all that much. But we'll keep an eye on that 68. So we're going to put a profit target in here at 58. Now that we have our second contract, we will put a 10-tick profit target on there. And sometimes even in one contract, we'll have a 10-tick profit target. It's really just, again, it all depends on the context of the trade, of the day. But for now, we're in two contracts. One profit target is 10 tick. Second profit target is based off of this former value area low on Monday. Since we've already come through and traded to the bottom side of Monday's VPOC, which is right here. Since we've traded below and held below this VPOC, where we're seeing now if we can hold and push down to the lower end of value from Monday. Almost got filled there for second scale. Okay. Let's move our stop here. Sorry, let's move our profit target. Let's convert this to two of them. So again, 10-tick profit target off of our average price 52.70. We're going to look to close out two of those contracts if it gets down there, and potentially, depending on what happens as it gets down there, we may even look to close all three of them. As far as if we see real strong divergence, if we push back down. Right now, there's no sign of that happening. Okay, let me just get back here for a minute. This. Not thrilled with what I'm seeing here. Really not. Need that VPOC to hold. Not crazy about this here. This basically has turned into a range. Genuinely didn't see that coming. Really would have thought that for a Wednesday morning, even with this push, I would have thought that we would have balanced here, which is kind of what we were looking for. Push up, balance out, come down. Did not see that as a potential move. Even in hindsight, I still like that trade setup. We are still going to be looking for a short here, actually. Trading above the VPOC. If it just comes to touch us out of our trade and then makes its way back down, we're still looking for this to push its way back down. I actually like that a lot still. Let's see something here. So I'm actually watching for the potential of taking one more short here. But see again, the I actually do like this here. So what's happening here is the opening of the day held, it's a level that I was not anticipating us getting to, but it's held so far. We've had a couple of touches of it, micro double top, currently a micro triple top up there. And first profit target 10 ticks, second profit target a couple ticks off of the low, because although we do certainly have divergence, so we would be looking to see now, as if we turn down and start pushing in that direction, what would happen. Okay, while that's happening, I'm gonna go back to my multitasking here. Sorry. Really tightened up here on oil. Just kind of sitting in this channel, not not very enticing right now. That's done. I'm sorry for all the silence. Not much to tell you. Yeah, this trade's gonna go south on us, I believe. really strong momentum on the BBs. In fact, what we're gonna do, we're going to see here. Let's see if that was a trap. Let's see if this was an attempt to get people to go long off of this triple top, put some orders in here and trap them in. If that were the case, this should move out of here. This should move out of here fairly quickly. So I'm paying close attention. Remember, I use my keyboard for a lot of orders, so if I'm gonna close out the trade, you'll see it, but I'll also tell you that that's what I'm doing. You won't see it happen with the mouse. Again, so sorry for the silence, but there's really nothing going on here. This has turned into a 50-50 trade, and unfortunately, in my opinion, it's slightly skewed to the upside now more than the downside. I do like what happened here. I like this push out and then pull back into this range. I want to see that happen on the other side now. That's really not that's not what's presenting itself. Same thing could happen down here, which could also be a trap, by the way. If we come below these triple bottoms here, we could see a quick spike down, trying to convince people to get short below these, or trying to convince people to get out of their long trades below these. The people would have a stop loss here, and then it turn right back up. There's that one tick out of there. Come on now. I'm going to take my risk off here. I'm going to move my stop to break even +1. Again, this still feels very 50-50-ish to me. I certainly have the potential here of getting stopped out and then it going my way, but I just not that I'm not confident enough in it to want to leave my risk up here. With the way the BBs have set up, we really don't have any divergence yet. If we push up, certainly we lose even this leveling off here. So I'm gonna take some. I'm gonna make this a risk-free trade, and if it comes down to my targets, that's great. If it doesn't, it's not going to cost us any money. Big size just came in at 52.74 and 52.75. Let's see if that has any effect on this at all. I'm closing out one of these. Okay, I'm not sure why that's not working, so I'll just put one in myself. No. What the? All right, so we're out. We are out of our trade there. Okay, turned it into somewhat of a profitable trade. Made a few ticks on it. And now we wait and watch. You know, so ultimately what we're looking at there is we get a pullback down to mid and VWAP, and that looks like it was holding. So that's why I decided to close my trade there. And at this point, I am gonna probably run here. Sorry for not putting in the extra time today, but I do have a couple things I need to get done. So let's take a look, real quick review. Remember, good or bad, I want to do everything I can to explain to you why we did what we did. All right. So today at the open, the trade at the open that we were looking for was a push back up towards yesterday's low, which it's hard for you to see. It's this swing here. We were also net short inventory, so we were looking for some type of correction there. And the way we wanted to enter the trade was on a little bit of a pullback off the open, giving us a chance to get in. We did. Never actually pushed up to try to close that gap. Turned against us. Okay, no problem. Traded down to overnight low. As we started coming back up, we had all of our levels here at the time that we were watching. Middle of the day, VWAP. Let me rewind it so we can kind of see that. Here we go. Swing, VWAP, middle of the day, VPOC. So we started getting short all the way up into here with our stop price being up. I believe our stop price was. Give me a second. I'll actually try to get this one right. I want to say 79. It was 80. Our stop price was 80. So we got stopped out there, and this is actually exactly, I believe, where our prior entry was. So we are. It looks like now we are pushing back down. That last trade that we closed could have been a little bit more profitable. So be it. Now what we're looking for, you have positive divergence. We're going to look to see as we push down towards, if we push down towards overnight high, do you get an opportunity to enter into trades? I probably would be looking to get into some trades if we pull back with this divergence that we have here. But for now, I'm going to bid you guys farewell. Yeah, so that there's really could have had a few ticks more on this trade and still be in the position if you did not move your stop to break even. Remember, I will always talk about other ways to have made the trade, better or worse. I'll always talk about other ways to make the trade. The parts that matter most in trading, those come from my experience as a trader from years ago. The things that need to get fine-tuned in this style of trading, technical analysis and volume profile are not things I've used to trade before. So I too will be fine-tuning. But I want to talk about different ways to have handled the trade. And this one, you could see, would have worked out better if we never moved our stop to break even. We stayed in our trade. We would have been out of our first 10 at our first 10th profit target of 69. At this point, you would be at break even. You'd have to be at break even at 79. I would be at break even at 79. First profit target would be off. 2 contracts would have come off at 69. One contract off at 69. Another one would be waiting here at 59. And then depending on what happens down here, you might close out your position entirely or even reverse it into a long position due to the divergence in the overnight level. All right, guys. You guys have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.